Ever pondered about the limit to which a tourist destination can accommodate visitors without causing harm? This is the concept of carrying capacity. Imagine you're planning a party. You need to know how many guests your home can comfortably accommodate. Too few, and it's a bit of a letdown. Too many and it becomes chaotic. The same principle applies to tourism. Carrying capacity is the maximum number of visitors that a tourist destination can handle without causing environmental degradation or an unacceptable decline in the quality of the visitor's experience. It's a delicate balancing act between preserving the environment, ensuring visitor satisfaction, and maximizing economic benefits. Too few tourists and the local economy suffers. Too many and you risk damaging the very attractions that draw people in the first place. To manage tourism effectively, understanding carrying capacity is crucial. But what does it entail? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this fascinating concept. Tourism carrying capacity isn't just a number, it's a dynamic concept with various determinants. Delving into the concept of tourism carrying capacity, it's important to understand that it's not a fixed figure, but a fluid one. It fluctuates based on a myriad of factors, including but not limited to environmental considerations, infrastructure, and local sentiment. Environmental factors are crucial when identifying a destination's tourism carrying capacity. The natural resources of a location, its flora and fauna, and its ecosystems all play a significant role. For example, an island with a delicate coral reef ecosystem may have a lower carrying capacity than a sprawling metropolis. If a destination is overburdened by tourists, the environmental damage can be extensive and irreversible, leading to the degradation of the very attractions that brought tourists in the first place. Infrastructure is another determinant of tourism carrying capacity. This includes transportation systems, accommodation facilities, and other tourist amenities. A small town with limited hotel rooms and inadequate public transportation may struggle to accommodate a sudden influx of tourists, leading to a strain on resources and a decline in the quality of the tourist experience. Lastly, we must consider the local sentiment. The attitudes and tolerance levels of the local community towards tourists can significantly influence the carrying capacity. If locals feel their way of life is being disturbed by the influx of tourists, social conflicts may arise, reducing the desirability of the destination for future visitors. It's also worth noting that these determinants are interrelated. For instance, inadequate infrastructure can lead to environmental damage, and a high volume of tourists can lead to negative local sentiment. Therefore, it's vital to assess all these factors collectively when determining the tourism carrying capacity. As we can see, determining the carrying capacity isn't a straightforward process. It's a complex task that requires a holistic understanding of the destination, striking a balance between the needs of the tourists, the environment, and the local community. How do we measure something as complex as carrying capacity in tourism? Well, let's dive into that. Measuring carrying capacity is a tricky business. It's more than just counting heads or calculating the number of hotel rooms. It's about understanding the delicate balance between the number of tourists a destination can handle and the quality of experience they can have without causing harm to the environment, economy, or local culture. Various methodologies have been proposed to measure carrying capacity. Some approaches focus on the physical aspects like the amount of space or infrastructure available. Others concentrate on environmental factors, assessing how much human activity local ecosystems can withstand before they start to degrade. Then we have the social carrying capacity, which evaluates the impact of tourism on the local community. It gauges how much change or disruption the locals can tolerate before their quality of life is negatively affected. There's also the economic carrying capacity. This looks at the point where the influx of tourists and the income they generate no longer offsets the costs of managing their impact. But here's the rub. These measurements aren't easy to make. For one, they're interrelated. An increase in physical carrying capacity, say by building more hotels, can decrease environmental and social carrying capacities, if not managed properly. Plus, these capacities aren't fixed. They can change over time due to various factors like improved technology, changes in local attitudes, or shifts in environmental conditions. And remember, we're dealing with human behavior here. It's unpredictable and can vary greatly from one group of tourists to another. Despite these challenges, attempts to measure carrying capacity continue. Why? Because it's crucial. Without such measurements, it's impossible to manage tourism sustainably. They provide the data needed to make informed decisions about when to limit visitor numbers, where to invest in infrastructure, and how to balance the needs of tourists, locals, and the environment. And that's why, even though it's tough, despite the challenges, measuring carrying capacity is vital for sustainable tourism practices. Let's explore more about this in our next scene. The concept of carrying capacity isn't just an ecological concern. It has significant economic implications as well. So let's delve into the economic impacts of carrying capacity. At the heart of the matter is the balance between tourism revenue and the costs of over-tourism. Tourism has the potential to bring a significant influx of income to a region, which can boost local economies and provide jobs. But like with anything, there's a tipping point. When the number of tourists exceeds the carrying capacity, the costs start to outweigh the benefits. Let's consider a simple example. Imagine a beautiful, pristine beach, a major tourist attraction. As more and more tourists visit, the local economy blossoms. The beachside cafes, souvenir shops, and hotels thrive with the influx of customers. This is the upside of tourism. However, if the number of tourists continues to rise and exceeds the region's carrying capacity, things start to change. The beach becomes overcrowded, litter piles up, and the natural beauty starts to diminish. The local infrastructure may also struggle to cope with the increased demand, leading to a decline in the quality of services. Suddenly, the beach is no longer as attractive to tourists as it once was. This is where the economic impact of over-tourism kicks in. If tourists start to avoid the area due to overcrowding or environmental degradation, the local businesses that depend on tourism will suffer. The decline in tourism can lead to job losses and a downturn in the local economy. In other words, the short-term gains from over-tourism could lead to long-term economic damage. Another economic aspect to consider is the cost of maintaining and managing tourist sites. As the number of visitors increases, so does the need for maintenance and management. This includes things like waste management, infrastructure development, and environmental conservation efforts. These costs can be substantial and have to be borne by the local community or the government. If the revenue from tourism doesn't cover these costs, the economic benefit of tourism becomes questionable. So, it's clear that the economic health of a tourist destination is deeply tied to its carrying capacity. Keeping tourism levels within the carrying capacity ensures a sustainable flow of income from tourism without overburdening the local environment or infrastructure. It promotes a healthy, thriving tourism industry that can support local economies in the long run. This is why understanding and managing carrying capacity is so crucial. It's not just about preserving the environment or the quality of the tourist experience. It's also about ensuring the economic sustainability of the tourism industry and the communities that depend on it. So, the economic health of a tourist destination is deeply tied to its carrying capacity. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. We've journeyed through the complex world of carrying capacity, delving deep into its core and exploring its intricate ties with tourism. We've seen how it is more than just a concept, but a vital tool in managing our resources and ensuring the sustainability of tourism. The concept of carrying capacity, as we've discussed, is not just about numbers. It's about understanding the delicate balance between the needs of a tourism destination and its ability to handle those needs without compromising its integrity and future potential. It's about measuring and managing the impact of tourism on the environment, society, and economy. We took a closer look at tourism carrying capacity, unraveling its multiple facets. We dived into how it's determined by various factors like the physical attributes of a location, its infrastructure, and the tolerance of the local community. We also explored how it's not just about the quantity of tourists, but also the type of tourism activities and the behavior of tourists. Then, we ventured into the realm of measuring carrying capacity. This is an ongoing challenge, given the dynamic nature of tourism and its multifaceted impacts, but we've seen how various attempts have been made to quantify and assess it using different methods and indicators. We also examined the economic impacts of carrying capacity. We discovered how exceeding the carrying capacity can lead to negative impacts like overcrowding, degradation of resources, and dissatisfaction among tourists and local communities. On the flip side, we saw how maintaining an optimal level of carrying capacity can foster sustainable tourism, boost local economies, and enhance the well-being of communities. In essence, carrying capacity is not a static concept, but a dynamic one that requires constant monitoring and management. It's a key piece in the puzzle of sustainable tourism, helping us to strike a balance between economic benefits and environmental and social responsibility. Remember, understanding and managing carrying capacity is a key step towards sustainable and economically viable tourism.